Thanks for joining me, guys. It's good to see you. I'm gonna put it on my desk right here, and so you can actually see what I'm doing today. And I just thought I would film a little bit to try and get myself going on some filming. So you might be able to hear me turning my camera on. And I'm basically doing a little bit of die cutting and some ink tints. So how's everybody doing? Where are you guys from? You wanna say hello? It's good to see you. You can, I think you should be able to comment, so you can say hello, and I think you can tap the screen if you want to do hearts and that sort of thing. So I'm going to be doing some artwork in this single column Bible. Hi guys! This is my black, my double column ESV journaling Bible, and so I have a little bit of a 2-inch margin right here, which I'm going to add some stuff to, and I'm not even preparing my page today. I'm just going to dive right in. And I have this really pretty die set. Can you guys see this okay? Hello guys. Hi, thanks for joining me. So I'm going to do some die cutting, and I want to show you these. These are really pretty. This is the set, and I don't know if you can tell, but they actually have these really neat raised areas where you can emboss them. So we can first cut them out and then emboss them. Hello, El Paso. Hi guys. So thanks for joining me if you have just gotten on, and basically I'm just going to die cut these and then put them in my Bible. Yes, I'm thinking fall. It's fall here in England, and I thought it would be really fun to do this. So do you want to see what I'm up to? So basically what I'm going to do is I'm using this paper, you can see this, Craft Core Nostalgic Collection by Tim Holtz, and this paper is really cool. It comes in a bunch of different colors. You can see I've used some of them already, and I've cut out just a few pieces right here of some fall colors that I really like. There's like a mustard color, a red, an orange, and a green, and a yellow. So I'm going to use these colors. Hi guys, thanks for joining me if you're new in here. So this paper is really cool, this Craft Core from Tim Holtz, because basically you do whatever you want. You can cut out your pieces, but the back side of it is actually craft paper. It's just this brown paper. So you can actually sand it with a sander, and the color will show up. So you can see here this pine cone, if I can actually get that in the light right. When I sand the edges, it sands back to the brown. Can you see that, you guys? It's quite cool. So let me show you how to do this. Here's a little example of a acorn, and that's a pine cone. I think they're so fun. So I'm going to make a bunch of these and then cut them in. Oh good, I'm glad you can see it. So I can cut these and put them into the margin of my Bible and make a big section on the side with lots of this kind of stuff. So do you guys want to see this with die cutting? I think it'd be really fun. And I'm going to use Inktense pencils to, or sorry, Inktense blocks to add like a layer of color towards the back. But first I'm going to use my Big Shot, and I'm going to use this craft paper and the die cut set here. So what I'm using is, it's a Spellbinder's Shapeability, and it is called Fall Foliage. So that's the set name, and there's these 11 dies here. And I store mine. I actually take a Ziploc bag and I cut the top off and then stick a magnetic sheet in between printer paper. So there's magnetic stuff right here, and it makes all of these stick right to the magnet, so they're not going anywhere because they've got magnets inside. So when I want to look at them, I can just pull them out. It works really good for me, and it's very similar to something that Jennifer Maguire does, which I really like. So I'm hoping this camera angle is okay for you guys. It's the best I could do with an iPhone. So I'm hoping it'll be good for you guys. So I think I really like this maple leaf, so I'll take that one out, and I think you guys like this one. I think this one's quite pretty. And maybe the pine cones. So let's start with that, and then I will set this aside. And I don't know how many of you have used a Big Shot machine before, so I'm not sure if this is familiar to you or not. I don't want to be teaching you stuff that you already know or something like that. Basically, this is the Sizzix Big Shot. It can also be called the Big Kick, depending on which company you get it from. But this is just a normal sized one. You can get them wider than this. This is, I think, about 6 inches wide, maybe 5 inches. This is the extended platform that comes out of it, and it has a couple of tabs on it. You can get shims now, which just slide onto the top. But depending on what you leave on here, it's a recipe for different types of things that you're cutting or embossing. But for right now, I need them all closed. I'm going to set this right here, and I've got 2 plates. Is everybody okay with this? Hopefully you're enjoying this. So this right here is my plate that I try not to cut on. I have accidentally a few times, but essentially this is my clean flat plate, and this one I always put where I'm not going to be cutting, because when you cut, as you can see, can you guys see all those cut marks? That is really normal for a die cutting machine. So this, as you can see, is more bent, and you just want to flip it back and forth whenever you're using it as much as you can to cut on both sides, and then it will evenly kind of warp it, if you will. And so it's really easy. I've got my platform, I've got my plate, and then these right here, if you can see all of that raised line right there, that is going to cut, not the outside metal, just that part right there. And then there's a little tiny kind of edge on the inside of that raised thing, and that is going to be our embossed area. But we have to first cut it, and then we can emboss it. So this right here is the cutting side. If you flip it to this side, that's the side that won't cut. That won't do anything. So you don't want that side touching your paper. You want that side touching your paper. So I'll get a green piece of paper here. I think it's in this stack somewhere. What is missing? Ah, it's gone right here. Okay, so here's the green, and remember that this particular paper has a back and a front side, so this is the craft brown, and I want that to be on the front, and this is the green part. So I'm going to take this, and I want to put it cutting straight into the green. So I'm going to put it in a corner there where it's going to cut, and flip it upside down. The best way to do it is to actually put the cut piece up right on your plate here, and then put this down right onto it. So I'll put that right there, and then this one just goes on top of it. So we've got our platform, this nice one, and we've got the die that is up with cutting pieces up, and then this paper is face down on it, and then we're going to put this on top of it. So put those evenly on there, and literally just start to feed it through, and it's that simple. I'm using 2 fingers. You shouldn't have to ever force it through. It just goes really easily. If I look at that, that is beautiful. So you can see now. Can you see that? Be sure to talk to me so I know you're here. That's great. Thanks for the hearts. Okay, so now I can move this piece off, and that's kind of cool because I could actually use that as a little template, as a mask for something, so the negative space isn't wasted, which is kind of cool. But now, if I leave this in here, then I can place it back down, and do a little bit more to this. So now I want to emboss it. So I'm going to take off the top piece that I used to push it down and cut it. And I'm going to bring in these two pieces. So you guys might recognize these two pieces because I sometimes use them to stamp on, which is not really what they're meant for. This is what they're actually meant for. So this right here, this is plastic. And it's just hard plastic. This right here, this is the silicone rubber. And this is going to go on top of my die. So I've got the same thing. We always want to make a sandwich. We've got the platform, we've got this plastic thing, and then there is this. And remember, it's still going to be face down inside there like that. I'm going to put it on here. And then I'm going to put this silicone rubber in so that it has something squishy right up against the die. And then I'm going to put this on top instead of my cutting plate because we're embossing now. So yesterday I had a disaster figuring this out, and see, it won't go in, it doesn't work. And the reason is because I need a different sandwich. So I'm going to set this down, pull this out, and you can see on every one of these platforms it will always tell you, so I can't actually see here what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to move to tab 1, and that's when I actually see the sandwich that I'm trying to make right here. So I'm going to put it in like that, and I'm going to take my sandwich back again and put it on top and give myself some space. And now look, that's actually going straight through. So this should do it. You guys ready to see this? Get that out of the way. Nice. Don't spill your food when you're enjoying dinner. So I'm going to take these off. And I've got my die. Can you see how it looks a little indented now? So if I take it, I can just pop it straight out of here, and you should be able to see the indentation. Can you see that? How nice that is? It's so pretty the way it works. So now this is kind of cool, but the best part of this is, remember, it has this on the background. So we're die cutting and embossing. So if I use this, this is just my sandpaper block from Tim Holtz. You could just use some really fine sandpaper. I'm going to put this right down on the actual surface and give it just a little rub. And you can do the same thing. I'll do it kind of here so you can see. I'm basically just roughing up the surface. And it makes all of those embossed edges come to life. It's really cool. So here, just a second more, you should be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. Can you see that? Don't know if it shows it enough. I think it shows, there we go. Now you can. It shows everything a little bit more distressed, which I think is kind of cool. What do you guys think? Do you guys like it like that? Or do you like it all clean and pristine? I think this is sort of neat because the leaves are falling off the tree. So I'm using the Tim Holtz Ideology sander, and that can just be replaced whenever you want. And this is the Tim Holtz Craft Core Nostalgic Collection right here. So that's the paper that I've just used that with, and I love how this turns out. I think it's beautiful. So there are different sets. This is from this set here, which is called Fall Foliage, and I've just done this one here, which I think is really neat. And there's another one, which is this one here, which is really neat actually. This is a Tim Holtz Autumn Gathering, and this one is just, it's a thin one that goes through and it goes through with just the sandwich like you would normally, with the extended plates, and you get all these tiny little leaves, like they're about this size. So aren't they cute? So they come with little acorns and stuff like that, but the benefit of this Spellbinders Shapeability one is that it has that extra bit of embossing, which I think is so pretty. So when I do this, when I go live with this Bible Art Journaling Challenge, I'll make sure to link all of these things so you can see them. But I just thought it would be really fun to share it with you and show you how I'm doing it. So now, oh, here, let me show you. This thing here, it doesn't look as exciting like that, but here's the paper on how to make it up, which I think is really pretty. So there's lots of like little sticks and acorns and different types of leaves on that. So super fun. This is really, I think die cutting is so fun because it just means that you don't actually have to do much of the work. It cuts all kinds of beautiful shapes out for you, and then you can do amazing stuff. And like I said, I cut this out, but there's nothing wrong at all with you using that shape right there, and you could basically use it as a stencil. You know, you just put it up against your surface, and then you can use it to trace around, or I mean, you basically have a stencil for yourself. So there's lots of things that you can do with die cutting inside of your Bible, even if you don't want to glue in your stuff. So I'm going to use something called Multimedia Matte, which I think is my favorite glue for gluing things in, because this stuff is super, super, wait, let's see, what are you saying? If you don't have an embossed die, distress ink on the leaf might give a similar look. That's right, you could kind of go in on the edges of your die and it will be really nice, especially if you go over the edges. But if you look at this, I don't know if all of you are here, this is another example of an embossed die from that set, the pine cone, and those raised edges, you just really can't get something like that without going for embossable dies, which are really fun. And I've just realized this week that I have a number of X-Cut dies from, the company is X-Cut, and I've just got these key ones recently. If you think I should use these soon, I probably would have to agree with you. I really like them. But these are embossable, and I guess the way that you tell that is by there being a little bit of metal. When you look at a die, if there's that kind of raised edge and then the cut edge is further in and there's still some metal on the inside, then that means that it's embossable. And all of the X-Cut dies do that. I don't know if you can see through the packaging. It's kind of difficult, but it is that way. So I'm looking forward to doing these keys in something soon. That should be fun. So if I want to do lots of these at once, I can, and I will do that. So for instance, I want some more pine cones. So I'm going to make the same sandwich again. I'm going to close up the platform. Hi there, thanks for joining me. I think there's more of you coming in, which is fun. So I'm going to take this brown color and I'm going to put it on my sandwich plate. I'm going to put this down on top of it, and then I'm going to put this other plate on top of it, and that is what you call a sandwich. And I'm going to put that straight through. So as I do that, it'll just go straight through. I don't have to push hard at all. And now I've got a couple more of these, and as you can see, they're in there. And now I'm going to remove that top plate, and I'm going to put this back on. And remember, now, hi there, you just put on this silicone mat on top with this on top, of that and feed it back through and it'll be embossed. But oh, remember, can't do that. We've got to take off this tab and then it will go through, because you have to make sure that it slides in nicely. And at the moment it's not playing nice because I've got it going in that direction. There we go. It should go in both directions, but it's probably because I'm doing it backwards for you guys. So here we go. Hopefully you can see that. And now we've got a couple of pine cones, and they have some areas where they've been embossed. You can see that quite well, I think. And if I take this and pop it out, sometimes these don't pop out very easily, and the best thing to do for that is to just get some sort of a piercer. This is my X-cut piercer, and it has some different things, and you can just poke the holes and it'll just pop straight out. So now I've got this, and it looks like this, but because it's craft core, then you can take this sander and just go over the edges like we have with the leaf, which I'll show those of you who are just joining in a minute. I think it's so much fun with all the fall colors. It's really pretty. So again, I mean, if I was doing this flat on the desk, it would probably give me a better result, but I want to show it to you so you can see what's happening. So then, there. Without much effort, we've got a couple of embossed things there. Isn't that fun? Hi there. So, I'm going to make up a bunch of these. I'm going to make a bunch of leaves, and I'm going to use all of these colors of the craft core. And then I will have a bunch of leaves and acorns and pine cones, and I'm going to glue them into the inside edge, but I said I was going to show you some ink tents. Does anybody want to see ink tents? Move these to the side. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll pull those out. So who of you actually has ink tents already? Hi there. I love ink tents so much. I've been really enjoying. I initially got a 24 set and of the colors, and let me just grab them for you so I can show you. Here are my two sets that I got. I got Inktense pencils and blocks. They're so fun. So the Inktense pencils, I don't want them to fall out, so I have to put them at a bit of an angle here, but there's a bunch of different colors here, and they are so great. This is not watercolor. People call them that because they act like watercolor, but they're actually ink that has been put into pencil form and ink that's been put into block form. So with pencils it's great because you can just color your area and then go in like that. And you can look up, if you look up Inktense on my blog, you can see some of the tutorials that I've already done. Oh no! If your blocks come broken, you can still use them. In fact, some of my blocks I've actually broken on purpose, but you don't have to, and that's good to like send them back if they're in bad shape. But this is what I did here, and I don't know, can you guys see that I've actually written the names? Let me see if there we go, now you can see them. So I wrote the names of where these belong, and I don't usually take out more than 1 or 2 colors at a time, and that really helps me. But sometimes I break them into pieces so that I can take a color and just rub it on the surface to get a real big wide area. And oh, that's fun to cut them up for a travel set. That's a great idea too. So this has been a really good kind of travel set for me. I've really enjoyed these, and as you can tell, it kind of looks like I haven't even hardly used them because they look so new, because you can just use them for ages. They just don't really seem to run out. But since doing this, I have used these so much and enjoyed them so much that I decided to buy the larger sets for my birthday and for other things. So let me get those colors and I'll show them to you. So just a second. They're just on the other side of my studio. Okay, so this is the 72 blocks, and this here is the 72 pencils. So I'll show you the pencils first. Do you guys want to see this? Are you happy to see this? I don't want to bore you. Here is the first layer of pencils, and you can see all the colors that are there. They're just really beautiful. And I can, oh good, I'm glad you like this. So this right here has a little finger hole, and you can just grab the tray out, and then you've got another layer of colors under here. So there's all sorts of kind of grays and black and white and kind of your skin tones, and let's see if I can flip them this way, you might be able to see the colors better. That's better. Skin tones, browns, greens, and blues. And then this one here continues with more blue, purples, pinks, reds, yellows, oranges, all that kind of stuff. So this is amazing. I've actually been using these, but they look brand new because you hardly even need to use any of it. It just lasts for so long. So what I'm going to do is, I've already got somebody I'm going to be giving the 24 pencils to, and I'm going to keep these blocks around for kind of traveling around and that sort of thing. But these can really be used for very similar situations, and I suppose if you only can get one, I would recommend that you get the blocks because they're much easier. I recommend Inktense pencils to people because it's just a lot easier for anybody who's new to using art mediums. It's not as hard as watercolor to use because it all stays permanent once it's down. And that might sound scary, but that's actually good because it means that it won't scrub away with your brush or anything like that. So it makes it much easier. But these blocks are great because you can grab a brush and just put color on really, really easily. So the blocks are kind of exciting to look at, don't you think? I think they're so beautiful, and they're just so vibrant, and Inktense is called that because they have so much color. And let me show you the next layer, because both of them have a layer, an extra one. So there you have it. I don't know if you can see that, but that is the 72 colors, and that's the full set of colors that they've got. So I want to, I think, do some kind of fall orangey colors. So I'm going to try and grab from around here some of these colors. And what I will actually do is, you can see that, let me grab one of the blocks. There we go. No, that one's a little hard to see. There we go. Can you see that all of them have this stuff here? There's a number right on the end right here, and that is the actual name of that. So if you go onto Derwent's website and look at their Inktense products, you can look up the number of all their Inktense, and you can actually see what the name of this product is. So they all have a name, and if you were looking at Inktense pencils, they all have the name and the number associated right on the edge, which is kind of hard to see in the lighting, but it's right there. So you can actually see what you're dealing with, which is really handy. And for the most part, the color on the end is pretty accurate. So that's really, really really nice. So, got my Bible somewhere around here. I've moved it. Here we go. So here is my ESV double column journaling Bible. I'm glad that's helpful. I hope it inspires you to be interested in getting some Inktense. I really enjoy it myself. So here is a margin. I'm actually going to use this side here, and I want to just put a bunch of color down and then watercolor it. So the best way I'm going to do that actually is by just getting this here, and before I put it down, because these are brand new, let me get a piece of paper and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just getting the end bit of a piece of paper, and I'm going to take the color that I want to use, and I'm just going to rub it like this. Give it a little rub, because the way these are made will mean that some of the edges are a little bit different, but now I have a surface that is perfectly ready, and you know, you can certainly enjoy that color somewhere else if you want, but now it will be nice to my Bible page. So I can set this aside, and yes, I would normally page prep of some sort, but I'm not going to bother today. So I'm just going to take this literally and hold it to the end of my Bible any way I want and do this to it. It looks like nothing's happening, doesn't it? There's actually a ton of stuff happening. So let me show you up close and see if you can see that. Can you see that color? That looks like nothing still, doesn't it? It just looks really boring. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I was thinking about using, I could use a water brush, I could use a brush of any sort, but I'm actually going to use this brush that I tend to put gesso and mediums on because it's a little bit damp still, so it'll work quite interestingly. So now, I don't want tons of water on here because I didn't prep it, and this will slightly wrinkle up, but if you gessoed this, it would all stay on top and it would stay flat. So watch what happens when I get this wet. It's going to start to come to life a little bit. I'm just putting a quick base layer of color on. Can you see that? Who can see the color? So it's literally, I know it's a bit messy because of the angle I'm going on, but you can see, hi, thanks for joining. So that is Inktense. Just literally, that's where it gets its name from. It's ink that has just gotten completely, I put almost nothing on there, and it's immediately just brightened up my whole page, and I don't have to do anything to this now. I could just let this dry, but I kind of slightly lack in patience when it comes to creativity, mostly because I like to sit down and do a whole thing at once. I don't have a lack of patience in my life, but I do enjoy doing something and sitting down doing the whole thing. So you can tell the difference between this page and that page to see the difference in the color. So I'm going to use my heat gun. I love this thing. I tell everybody to get a heat gun. It's brilliant. So I can just literally go over it. And I hope you can hear me through that. You should be able to. But when I'm doing my drawing, what I tend to do is pick up the page in an area where I'm not actually blowing on my fingers because that's quite hot. And I let the air pass through the paper because it dries quicker and is nicer. So I'll just do this to the whole thing, and it will just dry right up really quickly, and then I'll have a surface that's safe to work with and it won't hurt anything. So can everybody hear me okay when I'm talking with this on? Let me know if you can hear me alright. That's great. Okay. Good. So, that was how long I dried that for, and now it is dry. And look, it's a little wrinkly, but that's because I didn't put any gesso down that's holding it into place. But that is actually fine, because as soon as I close my Bible up, it's going to just flatten it out in a couple of days, so I'm not that worried about it. But now I have this surface a little bit colored. Can you see the color there? So it's not a huge amount. I wasn't trying to add a huge amount, but it's definitely different than this. But should we add a little bit of orange to it, maybe? Just up in... So maybe I'll add orange to the top of it. Okay, so I want something a little bit more vibrant. So this is the orange that I used before. I think I will go to this next one up. Actually, I'll go 2 up to this one here, which is quite vibrant. And again, I'm going to just take one of these, and I don't want to cross-contaminate them, so I'm going to actually flip it over and use another part. And if you didn't see me do this before, just give it a good rub, and that will keep it nice. And you can tell that, I mean, that looks quite vibrant. Hi there. So this Inktense block is quite vibrant, but it will water down a bit on here. So again, I'm just going to take it and add a bit along the top and just kind of add a little in there, because I'm not adding it to the whole page, but you can see it in there, can't you? It's not even nicely done. I'm not even bothered. I'm just getting it on there. So then I'm going to use my damp brush that I used a minute ago, and I think there's a bit of yellow still on there. I'm just going to wipe it off, and then that's it. I'm gonna grab this, and I would normally not make this so awkward. I'm obviously on Periscope, so I'm trying to let you guys see what I'm doing here. But here we go. You can start to see it come to life. So this part of what I do will not be on my video, because I haven't actually got the camera on it, this part right now, because I'm facing it this way for you guys, but it will be, I'll finish this off and then show what's happening. Okay, so can you see that? You see how easy that was? I think it's just a great way to use Inktense blocks. And that was just with this, and I just literally barely wiped it on there. Yeah, it's really nice. So those colors are there, and you can tell it's kind of damp. And I'll just, again, give it a quick dry with this, and then it will be really perfect for me to put some of these things on here. Like my pine cone, and this. It's really good. So I'm lifting up my paper, just getting it a little bit dry, and hi, for those of you who are joining. So here's this. Now I've got a dry surface, and I'm just going to take this and decide where I want to put it. Hi. Actually, I just said hi to my husband. That's funny. Hello, Daniel. So I am going to put this up here, I think, and it doesn't actually matter to me if it kind of goes off the edges. I want to preserve the name up here, so I'm going to put it on the edge and let it hang over the edge a little bit. I'm going to glue it in like this, and then I'll just take some scissors and cut it off. So I can't do that on camera very well, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this multimedia mat, and the reason I use this is because it's really matte. So if you dry this onto your surface and a little bit goes out the edges, it doesn't matter, because it's still going to look matte and it's not going to stick out or be shown anywhere else. So this is one of the pieces I'm going to be putting down. So I'm just going to add a little bit right to the back. Just super easy. I'm not even trying that hard. I'm going to put it on the back of there, And I'm going to kind of clean up the bottom a little bit. So can you guys see okay? What I'm going to do now, I don't want to mess up my pages behind it. I don't want to glue my other pages. So I'm going to take this, my craft sheet, and put it behind my page. Like that. I could use any sort of matte medium. This multi-medium matte just happens to be my very favorite one because it works really well at staying super matte and is in a nice little bottle. It works really good, so I love it, but it's definitely like, I would just recommend that you get something that's matte finish if you want to glue something in. So here you go. And currently, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little bit of glue on the front of this, and it won't matter because it'll just dry matte and it won't even be viewable. So I'm going to decide where I want to put this, and I think I want to put it kind of like that, right in there, and I can kind of put my finger around to get rid of some of the glue that I see, and put that in there, and now I've got that leaf all in exactly where I want it. And if I want to add some of this in, I'm just going to go all the way down this whole page. Hi there. So you can see how easy this is. I'm just gluing in, and I've added some color to this page, and this will be super easy and really, really fun. So I hope that you guys like it and will join me. It'll be really fun. I'll share a bit about the verse and about all of this and how much it means to me and how it works and stuff, and some more details, but I hope that that's really fun. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts before I head out? I gotta get some dinner going myself. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. It's super fun to see all of you guys just short notice like this. Periscope's good fun for that. Any questions before I head out? Just giving you a second to respond just in case it doesn't come through very quickly. No? Okay, well, I'm going to head out, guys, and I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I hope that you will join me in the Bible Art Journaling Challenge, which will be out hopefully soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next Periscope. So, love you guys, bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.